So, welcome. Today, in my struggle to figure out something that is on theme for the autumn season in which we are currently living, I was looking at Halloween costumes, but nothing really jumped out at me. And somebody said, "Pumpkin, you should make a pumpkin." And I was like, yes, pumpkin. So I made this pumpkin. Hopefully, our pumpkin will look better than this because I banged this out in about 5 minutes. But I think I got the gist of how we're going to form this pumpkin, or let's just say one way to create a pumpkin. I am sure that there are 50 ways to make a pumpkin in Fusion 360. And we'll go through one of them here. I made this pumpkin with lofted shape, which is kind of interesting. It's a fun use of a loft. And maybe there'll be something informative in here for your future projects. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start a new document.
Carl, how do I change my background color?
So if you want to change your background color, there is a display settings down here at the bottom. It's the icon that kind of looks vaguely like a computer screen, I guess. And then I believe it's environment. Yeah, environment will change you can go to an infinity pool if you want to, or River Rubicon. I don't know what that means, but I'm boring, so I go with the photo booth, the blank screen. We're going to start our pumpkin shape by defining the size of our pumpkin. So I'm going to start by creating a sketch. So I'll click on the Create menu and come down to Create Sketch. And I'm going to choose to draw on the front plane. So it doesn't really matter which plane you draw on, because this pumpkin is going to be symmetrical, like all good pumpkins are. If you go to a pumpkin patch and your pumpkin is not symmetrical, you should complain to the farmer and ask him where the symmetrical pumpkins are, because you shouldn't pay full price for a pumpkin that's not symmetrical. Okay, so symmetrical pumpkin like is seen in nature, and I am going to start by creating a line straight upwards from our origin, and this line will define the height of our pumpkin. So you can make this, you can make a giant pumpkin. You can make a State Fair award-winning pumpkin if you want to. I am going to make a reasonable size pumpkin at 8 inches. But again, you can make it however big you want to. You're the boss of your own pumpkin.
Is this the total height of the pumpkin?
This is total pumpkin height. TPH, the TPH, total pumpkin height. That's a term that you learn in all engineering classes. Marcus, you're familiar with TPH, right? A lot of.
That's proprietary inches.
But yes, I am drawing in freedom units here. If you were drawing this in using.
In smart units?
Using a standard of measurement that literally everybody else uses. I guess this would be a 203, that your TPH would be 203 millimeters. Or maybe you'd measure it in centimeters? I don't know how. I don't.
20.3.
20.3, yeah. All right, but again, freedom units. I don't think they even have pumpkins in Europe, do they? They don't even have pumpkins there.
In where?
Not even in Europe. Like, there's no such thing as a French pumpkin patch. Nobody has ever been to a French pumpkin patch. All right, so we've got a height of 8 inches.
But everyone has had French pumpkin soup or not?
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Squash soup.
Squash soup. All right, all right.
Seed catalogs have gourmet French pumpkins, actually. So.
Oh, all right. See, I learned something new today. And now let's define kind of I guess it's not the full outer radius of our pumpkin, but it's a rough outer radius of our pumpkin. And I'm going to do that with a 3-point arc. So I'm going to make a 3-point arc, and my 3-point arc is going to start at the top of my pumpkin, and it's going to go to the bottom of my pumpkin, and I'm going to make it whatever radius looks like a pumpkin shape to me. In my brain hole, like a pumpkin kind of goes in at the top and the bottom. It's not a sphere, right? It's a little bit wider than a sphere, I guess you could say. I suppose you could also try to do this with a spline if you wanted to make an unusual shape. Although, if you go down that route and the next step doesn't work, it's not my fault. But I support your choices. All right, so I'm making mine with a 3-point arc. You know what, should we draw a stem on this now, or should we wait until later? Let's wait until later. All right, pumpkin shapes roughly have been defined there. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and say finish sketch. I'm going to do a little housekeeping. I'm going to name my sketch here. And this is going to be my pumpkin profile. It wouldn't be a Model Monday class if something was not named profile. Now, from that profile, let's go ahead and revolve out a wedge. So we don't want to revolve out a full radius. So if we come up to create, and then we come down to revolve, I'm going to revolve my pumpkin profile around that center axis. I'm going to choose to do this not to one side. I'm going to choose to do it symmetrically. The only reason that we are creating this wedge shape here, this 20-degree, or you can make it different if you wanted to, I suppose. You could make yours 10 or probably more than 5. But what this segment is going to be kind of a lobe of the pumpkin. Is that an appropriate word for one of the bulbous regions of a pumpkin? A lobe, a pumpkin lobe. This is going to define the number of lobes around the outside of our pumpkin here. So if you have a smaller degree measurement here, you'll have a lot more lobes. If you have a wider degree measurement, you'll have fewer lobes, yes.
Will you show me where you found the revolve tool?
Yeah, it is under, so if you click finish sketch.
Oh, okay.
There we go, and then it'll be under create,
Okay.
and then revolve.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then you'll define your, there we go. And you'll want to make it less than 360 degrees. I think somewhere between 10 and 20 is probably a good starting point for our wedge shape. Hopefully this will end up being parametric. Yeah, I'm at 10 right now. I think 10 feels like a good number. 10 is to each side. So really this is a 20-degree wedge. It's just going 10 degrees to each side because I'm doing it symmetrically as opposed to one side. So if I look at this, you probably don't need to do it like this, but this is kind of like my OCD nature here. We're eventually going to make a sketch on each side of this plane here, of each side of this wedge. And if I choose to do it to one side, then I'm going to have two sketches that are right on top of each other. My profile sketch and one of my sweep sketches will be kind of right on top of each other. And things get kind of jumbled like that, and I get confused easily about what sketch is what if they're living on top of each other. So if I can break them up, I would choose to do that. So that's why I'm making that decision now. So 10 degrees, making it a new body symmetrically, 10 degrees, and I'm going to say, oakley dokley. All right, now let's create another sketch. So I'd like to determine the radius that is going to be how much this lobe pops out, kind of the bulbousness of the lobe. And in order to do that, I need a sketch plane that's kind of right in the middle of where this sketch is here. I suppose that there's a couple of ways we can do this. I like to have things be parametric, so we're going to make this a two-step process. So what I could do is I could say, hey, I'm going to make an offset plane, and I'm going to put that offset plane 4 inches up because I made my thing 8 inches, right? And then I've got a plane that's going to be right in the middle of my bulb. But if I change the shape of my bulb, if I change my bulb in some way, shape, or form, my plane will not move with it. So if I can make this plane always stay in the middle here of my bulb, that would be my preferred method to do things. And I think there is a way we can do that. It's just going to involve 2 steps. So first, can I make a axis? I don't even know if I can do this actually. Can I make an axis that is perpendicular? Go ahead, Mike.
Carl?
Yeah.
Take a quick look at this. I was playing with push and pull, and I have kind of a free.
Oh, did you? That's awesome.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Select the 2
Yeah.
radius edges of your lobe, and then use the push-pull command.
Yep.
Could you show it real quick?
Yeah, that's a good way to do it, for sure. I'm still going to keep going on this path because I like this sweeping concept here. But Mike, that's awesome. So I'm going to, can I make an axis that's perpendicular to an edge?
Okay.
Perpendicular to
This is
face
a single
that point?
lobe.
Is that
I
what I want?
took this line and this line, and I did the push-pull command, and I used 1/2 inch. I can go
Can I make a mid-plane? No.
0.75 or even more.
So I actually don't think I can make a plane that's just going to live at that point. So I am just going to make an offset plane here.
There.
So I'll go construct, and then I'll choose offset plane, and I'm going to pick this bottom plane. I'm going to pick this, no, I made plane at an angle.
This is with
Construct, offset plane.
Hmm?
I'm going to choose that bottom plane, and I'm going to offset it whatever half of our height was. So if the height of your pumpkin was 12 inches, then you'll want to be at 6 inches. The height of my pumpkin was 8 inches, so I'm at 4. But the idea is that we have a plane now that kind of goes right through the middle of our wedge. I'm going to push OK. I'm going to kind of expand out my plane so we can see that it cuts in half. I don't know if you ever do this. Sometimes these planes, they are based on the size of the thing that they were defined from. So because we had just a little square down here that we were defining it from, but they're infinite, and you can change their visual size, which can be handy sometimes. Let me kind of come take a walk around, see if you guys got cut in half wedges.
There we go. Offset plane to a point in the the center look pretty good.
Oh, really? So now if you change, so if you say okay,
Mhm.
and if you change the size of that sketch,
Mhm.
do you think your plane will move?
Well, cause this line is at the midpoint.
Yeah, perfect. All right, cool, nice. Hey, all right, FreeCAD's getting there.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're gonna do a loft in Fusion 360. And we're gonna use those curves as rails for our loft. So just for your future knowledge there, looks like we're all doing good. All right. So now on that plane, which we are going to name. We've got a plane here, and I'm going to name that plane.
Generic plane. It's a plain old name.
Yeah, right, exactly. I don't know.
Plane?
Bulb shape is what we're going to draw on there. Or I guess where it's located, like it's the mid plane.
Why can't we get a plane to be parametric there in the middle?
Yeah, so
Do we gotta make a new sketch to do that?
well, so here's a way we could do it, Nick, is if we go back to our original sketch, if I grab my line tool and I draw a line that connects the middle of this to our midpoint. So you can see I've got my midpoint constraint here, and it connects the center. Now that will always be right in the middle of our sketch here, right? No matter how big I make this. And now instead of
I don't see the midpoint. Is that the line with the,
should be
okay, midpoint, I have to do that?
it should automatically add it when you draw your line. So when you grab your line tool,
Yep.
and you draw it, there you go, that little triangle.
Yep.
And then draw and connect it to the middle of your circle. And then you say okay. And now instead of an offset plane,
Yeah, for these.
if we do a plane at an angle,
I'll give you guys a call back
so construct
at
plane at an
Yeah.
angle, and then we use that
Right.
line that we just made. That is a way to make that parametric. So, thank you. Good call on adding that line. All right, cool. So, more than one way to skin a cat, as a favorite coworker of mine likes to say. So now on that plane, this is our mid
Carl,
plane.
I'm sorry, man,
You're good.
I got the line in there, but I don't got the plane.
Oh, so now from the construct menu, you can choose plane at an angle. And then you can make a plane and you'll use that line from which to make your angled plane.
And I think I missed a
So
few
we just made that.
steps. I have a nice wedgie thing.
You're good, yeah.
I do not have a thing down the middle of it.
Not yet.
Oh.
That's fine. We're getting there. So my
Oh, okay.
sketch, that's just my original sketch.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
turned off.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you're good. Yours looks like this, and we're all set.
Oh, there, okay.
Yeah.
I have my sketch turned off. Okay. never
All
mind.
right. So now, if we come up to our create menu and choose to create a sketch on that plane that we just made, so I'll click on create sketch. I'll choose the plane that we just made here. And now I want to take some existing geometry that already exists, and I want to project it onto this 2D surface that we have. So we've got a 2D surface that we're drawing on. We're looking directly down at it, right? And I want to take some existing geometry and make it live on this 2D surface. And there's a command that we can do, or there's a tool that we can use to create geometry, create lines from existing three-dimensional objects, or I guess two-dimensional objects too. It's called the project tool. So in create, if you scroll down to project include, and over to project, I guess intersect would also be a fine option here. Both would do the same thing in this case. So an intersection is the plane, it will create geometry where the plane intersects the body. So because this plane cuts our body in half, intersect would work here. But project works just the same in this case. Project takes that geometry and shifts it over onto wherever your plane is in space. So your plane doesn't need to intersect in order to use project. So I'm going to use that project command. I am projecting, I'm going to project the body, the entire body. So my select filter here, I'm going to change from specified entities to bodies. And you can see when I hover over my body, I get a red line around the outside here. And if I click on that body, I think I can click on it either in my drawing view, or I can also click on it in the browser over in my bodies folder. You'll see I've got one selected. I should grab my fancy magical pointer. Yeah, I got one selected over here, and then I can say okily dokily. So those purple lines that it creates are the projected lines from our three-dimensional shape. And if I rotate this so I'm looking at it a little bit more three-dimensionally here, you can see that it did indeed like kind of follow right along the edges of our body. Now, what we want to do here is, if we, from our create menu, choose to grab a 3-point arc, and I make my 3-point arc start on one edge of my pie and end on the other edge of my pie, and then I'm just going to give it some amount of pumpkin-esque bulge, whatever that means for your pumpkin. Again, if you're making an award-winning pumpkin, maybe you got more bulbousness in your lobes. Is that how pumpkins are judged? Size and lobe baldness? Lobe radii? Get out the calipers and measure the lobe radii?
Yeah, no. Oh, the radii and the lobes.
Exactly. You will notice that I am not really defining what my radius has been for either of these things. And normally I'm a big fan of having fully constrained sketches. But however, I think in this case, when we're just trying to make something that looks good, maybe having something that is undefined is a little bit, is better in this case. Because once we're finished and we make our pumpkin shape complete, then we can come back and go, oh, this lobe needs to be more like that, or it needs to be more like that, and we can just kind of push and pull it around and say finish sketch, and then it'll bring us into the future. So maybe having things a little bit more fluid is convenient. All right. So everybody's got a little bulb on their lobe, and I'm going to say finish sketch. So something that I was trying to make happen, maybe I was doing it wrong, but what I really wanted to be able to do was to use the existing lines. Oh, it won't even let me pick that right now. All right. Use the lines here that already exist on the edges to loft from this shape up to a point, but it wouldn't let me do it. I really needed to draw some sketches that represent these rails that we're about to make, so let's go ahead and do that now. From our Create menu, actually, do I have a sketch that I didn't name? Probably. Sure do, sketch 2. This is our bulbness. It's the bulbness. Anything is better than sketch 2. Bulbness is probably not a word. But English is a fluid language. It's ever changing.
What's our body called?
Well, right now it's called Body 1. That's a fine point. I take your criticism, sir. We decided that this was a lobe, right?
Lobe, yes.
It's a lobe.
Sorry, Carl.
Nope, nothing to apologize for. There we go. Now it's appropriately named. All right, so now, like I said, we're gonna use the loft command to loft this shape to this point here. But in order to do that, we first need to have a path, define a path for it to loft along. So let's go ahead and do that now. We're gonna create a new sketch. We're going to create that sketch on both sides of our wedge, of our lobe here. So I'm going to start with this side that's facing me, and I'm going to create my sketch on that face there. And all I need to do is grab my arc tool, my 3-point arc tool. This is where I hesitated to say, hey, you can do that first step with a spline. And I'm going to use my 3-point arc tool and click on this point here right in the middle. And I'm going to click on this point here at the end. And then if I hover over the edge, I get this little blue X. When you're creating a sketch on an existing 3-dimensional flat object, you kind of get some geometry for free. So technically, this line kind of already exists. Like there's something for me to snap to here. This line exists right here. The bottom of this curve exists. It's there for me to snap to. It's just not. I could even extrude from it. If I said finish sketch, even though I've made nothing on this sketch, I could still extrude out this shape. You can see I can select it there. So you kind of get some free sketch geometry. Go
Now,
ahead.
is your sketch plane the front plane, or is that one of the facets of the?
It is,
wedge?
yeah, it is one of the sides of my lobe.
Okay.
So I'm going to draw this 3-point arc to match my lobe here. And then I'm going to go ahead and say finish sketch. I'm going to label this sketch here. I'm going to call it path 1. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So I'm going to rotate around to the other side of my lobe. I'm going to create a sketch. the sketch plane or plein air face that I'm going to use is going to be that other flat surface, the opposite flat surface from the one I used the first time. And then just my 3-point arc tool. And after I make this 3-point arc, I'm going to come around and take a look and see where you guys are at. So I'm making this, again, it gets in free geometry here, so this point already exists kind of on here, and this point already exists, so I'm just snapping to both of these points. And then if I move for my third point in this 3-point arc, is going to be right out here. I'll click Finish Sketch. I'll name it Path 2. And then we kind of come around and see how you guys do. Are you joining us?
I got caught in a conversation for a
Oh,
while.
okay,
Maybe
cool.
I'll come to be more better prepared for future classes.
No worries, no. Yeah. So, make it a pumpkin.
Okay.
Can we take a couple steps back for you?
No, go ahead. You keep going. I'll touch base with you after class or whatever,
Cool.
but just to kind of get a gist or whatever. But
Yeah,
if you
that's
can.
awesome. How you doing?
Reading up on how to, I couldn't get it to, I couldn't get it to give me like that edge as selectable. I've done it before with
You know, you
something.
probably don't need that. Oh, you need to.
I can select it.
I mean, you
from
definitely need the point there in there,
Yeah,
but you don't necessarily need that curve.
I can't get it to give me that point either though, which, I mean, I could technically also, tell it to, just show me the sketch that was used and project that, but, I wanna try to figure out how to project the body onto the plane, cause
Yeah.
I've done that before too, and I was like,
Tony's a FreeCAD novice, expert. Can I say put one of those
One of those
words?
too, yep.
Have you ever projected a body onto a plane?
No.
No. Okay.
I did it before at some
Right.
point, and I just have no idea how to do it anymore. It was weeks ago.
Okay.
So I just need to read up and see.
Are you gonna call me along too, or you? Yeah.
Well, I'm trying something different here.
There we go, there it is, okay.
All right. Happiness.
Ooh,
Not
okay.
really, I somehow, I think I just gotta do my paths over again. I ended up, like, if I show both of them, they kinda,
Oh, they're on top of each other.
yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like we.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all right. You just got to do one of your.
That one. Oh, so that one didn't even do anything, okay.
Yeah, Command Z. Undo your delete. So you don't delete the one that exists. There we go.
Okay,
Close that one.
but it was perfectly constrained.
When there's nothing on your sketch, it's perfectly constrained, right? that emptiness is a fully constrained bit of emptiness. Yeah. All right, so we're almost there. We got 20 minutes, so we're in good shape here. No rush, no rush at all. Whenever I have something funny looking like this, sometimes I like to turn off my bodies and just look at my sketches. It's kind of fun just to see your sketch lines existing in, like, it's almost like wireframe mode, you know.
Okay, got it.
Okay, Carl,
Yeah.
if you wanted to extrude the rim of your, let's call it a piece of cantaloupe. your
Okay,
lobe,
yep, uh-huh.
okay? If you wanted to extrude the lobe to match your 3-point arc, how would you do that?
I don't think I can. extrude the lobe to match my arc. I don't think I don't think I can just take this whole thing and kind of
The fudge?
extrude it outward. You want to extrude it out in all directions kind of thing?
Correct.
Yeah.
So that instead of a flat
If
Yeah,
you
push
take the
pull.
press pull, yeah, if you take press pull,
push, yeah, that doesn't make it conform to the 3-point arc that you had.
it doesn't, yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to get it to do.
So here, this next step will create that shape. Once we're all there. Tony, did we make pumpkins in this class before?
Not that I remember.
You don't remember making a pumpkin? Okay.
That's a pretty complex shape.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess this is a pretty complex shape for a beginner class. So,
So in my defense, I did suggest a pumpkin carver.
oh, a pumpkin cut. We have one of those. It's called a Tormach. We're not going to design a Tormach in the beginner class.
Right.
Maybe we'll design a Tormach in the advanced class next week. But you know, it's Nick's first week back. I can't do that to him. You know. Yeah.
Okay, so
How we doing?
Again, I only had like half of it, so I'm kind of starting over. So I created, but my art creating skills are getting speedier.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So I just made my arc over half of my shape,
Oh,
and I don't know that won't cause you a problem in the next step, but we're about to find out.
okay.
We're in a learning experience right here. Yeah, we're about to find out. So yeah, we'll see here. So all right, so now that we've got our shape made here and our paths created, if I choose from the create menu the loft option, a loft is a way to convert one shape into another. If you got to fit a square peg in a round hole, this is the way to do that right here with the loft command here. So if I choose this loft command, something that's kind of fun that you can do with a loft is we'll select the first profile is going to be this little wedge shape here. And now the profile that we're going to loft to is actually not a shape. It's going to be this single point right up here. So if I hit the plus button in my loft window, and then I hit that little point there, you can see it'll loft directly to a single point. But now it's going to loft straight along the most direct route possible. So that's why we drew these paths here. So these rails, if I click on the little arrow, or the little mouse arrow next to rails, and I hit the little plus button and I say, all right, that's going to be a rail, and that's going to be a rail. And I'm going to change it, the operation from cut. I'm actually going to choose to make this a new body, because I'm going to mirror it later. So, hopefully, did it let you pick those as your rails? Or did you be an error? Oh, hey, look, it's letting you do it.
Yeah.
Neat. I thought it would swear at you because you're only doing half of it, you're not doing the other half, but yeah, great. Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice. Sweet. Yes, and then you just gotta change it from cut to new body. New body, new body.
Weird.
All right. So the final step we need to do to complete this single lobe is actually, sorry, there's two more steps. We're gonna use our mirror tool. So from the create menu, I'll go ahead and choose the mirror option, which is almost, it's like 3/5 of the way down there. I'm gonna make a mirror of the body that I just made here. So this lobe-shaped body, this bulb, the bulb on the lobe. I'm losing my pumpkin terms. And as the plane, the mirror plane, I'm just gonna spin around so I can look at the bottom of my shape here. I suppose there's a couple ways I can do this. I can pick this surface here as the mirrored surface, or I got that midplane that I made, that we made our sketch on. We made our sketch on this midplane. I could also choose that midplane as the mirrored surface. So I could pick the midplane over here in my construction folder, or I can pick the midplane in my drawing view here. This is why it's handy to name your planes. Like, oh look, midplane. I got a plane right in the middle. I can go ahead and use that. I am going to leave this join, because eventually I'm going to combine all this together into one anyway. So I'm going to leave it at join right now. And I'm pretty sure what this is going to do is it's going to join these two halves to each other. Right now, technically, I have two bodies here. I've got my bulb body and my lobe body. And I think what it's going to do here is it's just going to join the mirror sections to each other. It's not going to join all the bodies together. Yeah, just join my mirrored pieces together. So I still have just two bodies there. Now we can join all of those bodies together. So we can join our lobe together with, this is our bulb. You don't really need to name it because we're about to join it, and then those things will go away. But while I'm calling them things, I might as well have them named, huh? So from my modify menu, I'm going to go ahead and choose combine. Just as a point of reference for you, I've got my bodies named here. The first body that you choose will be the name of the body at the end of the game. So if I want the body at the end here to be called lobe, I should choose the lobe first, and then I should pick the bulb second. So the target body is the lobe, the tool body is the bulb. And then when I say join these things together, the body at the end of the day here is called lobe. Alright, I can turn off the visibility on my sketches here. Now, I don't really like that that's not perfectly round. Oh, maybe it is round. If you look at it it almost looked faceted. If you look at it from a certain angle, it almost looks like there's a facet there, but that's probably all in my head. So now, in order to make our pumpkin shape, the last thing that we need to do here to make the shape of our pumpkin is to make a circular pattern of this body. So I'm going to choose to make a circular pattern here. I'm going to choose my lobe. The axis that I'm making that pattern around is that central axis there. And now you have to figure out how many degrees you need to make this go around. And if you chose 10 degrees, 18 is going to be the right answer. If you chose 29, is going to be the right answer. Is that right?
Well,
Seems about
because our
right.
10 degrees was half, so it was actually
It was
20.
actually 20, yeah.
So
exactly.
360 divided by 20.
Yeah, his 8 would be 18, yeah.
Yep.
So,
Mine
we
looks
got a
gold.
pumpkin shape. Nice.
I have a partition line.
Very nice.
Got one lost.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So you lost it?
Yeah, so I
Okay.
yeah, I
You
logged
guys-
it. I
yeah.
had to actually draw these lines. I don't know if Ken will make you draw the lines.
Oh, like straight this way?
Well, no, like the lines that would represent the curve of that edge.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't need to do that. Maybe it'll let you just use the lines that are existing in your.
Okay. So it would be actually it's probably more pipe, I imagine we're doing. No?
Maybe. I don't
Let's
know.
see. Okay.
Pipe means something different here, but you know.
Add edge.
All right, and now I'm gonna say okay. Look at that pumpkin shape. Very nice. Now you'll see that I've got I've got 18 lobes here, and a pumpkin is just one singular object. So I'm gonna use my combine tool one more time. I'm gonna just click on lobe there, and then I'm gonna hold down the shift key, and I'm gonna click on the very last body. And what that'll do, while I'm holding the shift key down, is it'll pick everything from the top to the bottom, from the first click to the last click. And I'm gonna combine all of those bodies together. And now we can do the fantastically satisfying task of renaming our body from lobe to pumpkin. Because this is no longer but a single lobe. It is a pumpkin-esque shape. Pumpkin is definitely pumpkin-esque. What's it? That's pumpkin-esque, right? Pumpkin-ish?
Singularity.
Yeah.
Pumpkin-oid.
So we have got 6 minutes left. So we're gonna carve out this pumpkin with approximately the amount of time and effort that I would spend carving out a pumpkin when I was a kid. First, we need to hollow it out. This is my least favorite part. This is why I don't carve pumpkins, because I hate the smell of carving out your pumpkin. I can't stand that smell. There is a shell command here in Fusion 360, which I wish I had in the real life, because then I wouldn't have to smell the terrible smell of what's inside of a pumpkin. If I grab the shell command, I can click on my pumpkin body here. So what it wants me to do is select a face to remove or a body to shelve. So a face to remove would be if I choose this face and then I say, hey, 0.5, I wonder if that'll even work or if it'll swear at me. Sometimes shells, when there's a lot of curves, Fusion just says, nope, not gonna do it. And that's a complicated face to make as an opening. Hey, look, it did a thing. I'm actually kind of surprised. So it would remove that face. Did it remove it? Nope, it swore at me. It's saying, error, operation could not be completed. And hopefully it'll work the way that I want to do it. So we'll click the shell command. And instead of clicking on a face, I'm going to click on the name of my body over in my bodies folder. And now I'm going to define a thickness of like 1/2 of an inch, which seems like a good pumpkin shell thickness. Half of a freedom unit. Is it gonna work? It worked in my test, in the original for class.
Live demos.
Of course, then my computer wasn't attempting to record this as well as calculate a shell. Did anybody else manage to make a shell?
It did not.
Did not?
It's the same command.
I
Crash.
set a 1-inch shell wall thickness just because I had pretty grotesque exaggerated
Okay,
holes.
sure.
But
Yep.
did it successfully. I did a
Yeah.
section analysis to prove it.
Body could not be repaired after deleting faces. I'm not trying to delete any faces. Well, let's try a 1-inch. Come on, computer, you can do it. I believe in you. I may have had less lobes in my original shape here, and now it appears my laptop is. I hear some computers that sound like they're about to take flight. Which is always a good thing. Yeah. Come on, computer, you can do it. The last thing that we were needed to do after we make the shell is I was just gonna make an offset plane, just kind of out in the middle of nowhere out here somewhere, and then quick sketch out a little face and extrude that through our shape. But it appears as though my computer is done for the night. I've just got blue beach ball. If this is a Mac, you're supposed to bounce it around. Anybody ever tell you that? You're supposed to bounce. Yeah, you're supposed to bounce the beach ball around. You know, makes it go faster.
Does it really?
I mean, you get a beach ball shape, right? You used to work at Apple, right? Yeah. Yeah, you get a beach ball shape. It doesn't speed anything up. Maybe it gives you something to do, so psychologically.
So like acceleration.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when I'm back in my earlier days, way back in the Windows days when you had like the dog or the hourglass and you keep moving those and
Right.
didn't actually do anything, but it made you feel like you were doing something.
Or like, does Google still have that? Oh, when this internet page cannot be found, it gives you the little game you can play with the dinosaur.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen that? No?
Oh, when it won't load.
Yeah, when it won't load, that there's like a dinosaur and it's like a little 8-bit kind of thing. That's actually a game you can play. You have to like push a button and then you can jump over stuff, you know? Yeah. Just encourages some enjoyment. Yeah, my computer is not going to do this. I've just got a beach ball. Sorry, guys. Oh, and here we go. So, we found the limits of the number of lobes that I can make a shell out of. It is somewhere between the number that I have and half as many, because I had half as many the first time around. So, there we are.
You
Pumpkin.
said you're going to draw the face off in space and then map it to that?
Yeah, and then I was just going to extrude it right through.
So I understand the idea of like, because I've been playing around with Tinkercad.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So I understand, but for that you'd be creating essentially like a 3D or a 2D, the equivalent of like 2D, but the pumpkin being round, how would that have, like, would it have curved?
Man, it's been a while since we've had a crash in Fusion 360 here in class. But I had a crash. It happens. Maybe next week we'll be doing just fine. Until then, we'll see you next week.
Next week or 2 weeks?